Hey, what's up? It's Brian here, and in this video I'm going to share another powerful segment from the book Life Lessons. And this is going to be a bit of a lengthy quote that I'm going to mention, but I think that it really wraps up really well. So I want to say the full quote. It's about a page and a half long actually, page 138. Happiness, anxiety, joy, resentment. We have many words for the many emotions we experience in our lifetimes. But deep down at our cores, there are only two emotions, love and fear. All positive emotions come from love. All negative emotions come from fear. From love flows happiness, contentment, peace, and joy. From fear comes anger, hate, anxiety, and guilt. It is true that there are only two primary emotions, love and fear, but it's more accurate to say there is only love or fear. For we cannot feel these two emotions together at exactly the same time. They're opposites. If we're in fear, we're not in a place of love. When we're in a place of love, we cannot be in a place of fear. Can you think of a time when you've been in both love and fear? It's impossible. We have to make a decision to be in one place or the other. There is no neutrality in this. If you don't actively choose love, you will find yourself in a place of either fear or one of its component feelings. Every moment offers the choice to choose one or the other, and we must continually make these choices, especially in difficult circumstances when our commitment to love instead of fear is challenged. Having chosen love doesn't mean you will never fear again. In fact, it means many of your fears will come up to finally be healed. This is an ongoing process. Remember that you will become fearful after you've chosen love, just as we become hungry after we eat. We must continually choose love in order to nourish our souls and drive away fear, just as we eat to nourish our bodies and drive away hunger. Just like Troy caring for Jackie, he continuously chose kindness over fear. He decided to serve something greater than his fear. He chose to serve another human being in need. It doesn't mean his fear won't come up again. Whenever his fear returns, he will have it to return to love in the present moment. All of our invented fears involve either the past or the future. Only love is in the present. Now is the only real moment we have, and love is the only real emotion because it's the only one that occurs in the present moment. Fear is always based on something that happened in the past and causes us to be afraid of something we think may happen in the future. To live in the present, then, is to live in love, not fear. That's our goal, to live in love. And we can work toward that goal by learning to love ourselves. Infusing ourselves with love begins the washing away of our fears. So really interesting segment here. Really interesting. And to say that every emotion comes from love or fear, that's a really powerful thing to say. And, my gut instinct when I hear something like that is, I don't really agree with that. Especially because they're framing fear and love as opposites, whereas my instinct was like, I thought love and hate were opposites, right? But I'm still processing all of this, and it's kind of like what I said in a previous video. Like, you don't have to agree 100% with what an author or what a person is saying to get some value from it. So, like, this segment in particular, like, there were some sentences here where I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that. But as a whole, like, I really found value just reading this page and a half. It really got some reflection going in my head. And the statement that you choose one or the other in particular, I'm not really so sure about that, because for me personally, I think like you can choose fear way more than choosing love. Because love, I more so view love as like a feeling, like from the heart, like something you can't really control. It just is what it is. Whereas fear, though the symptoms of fear can manifest in the heart, I think it's mainly a choice in the brain. It's a mindset thing with fear. So that's how I view that. So like one example is like, I think like 95% of fears, they can really be eradicated and erased through a strong will, pretty much. Through making up in your mind, I'm going to be fearless in this scenario. I think you can overcome that a lot. You have choice for fear, which I don't really see love in that same way, to be honest. And one perspective I have too is that fear can be the igniter to choose love. So, meaning like the fear of not being good enough in a particular situation, the fear of not finding a partner, of not accomplishing your goals in life. So these sort of fears can motivate you to love the work that you do, to grind harder, to love the process, to be good at something. to appreciate the self-development it takes maybe to be the best man or woman you can possibly be to attract the right partner for you, right? So fear in those situations can ignite the love to become the best version of yourself. So I think that's a really important perspective to have. And a lot of times too, like the fear of not being something, like not winning the NBA championship, but the fear of missing this shot, the fear of getting a bad grade on a test, that could ignite you to love the opportunity to overcome that fear, to love the opportunity to make that shot, you know, to ask that girl out maybe, right? Like if you're fearful of approaching a woman or approaching a guy to ask on a date, you can overcome that by just flipping it on its head, by turning that fear into excitement, into motivation really to overcome it, right? So I think that's an important perspective to have too. And it's like the next time fear comes up in your life, I really want you and myself to just flip it on its head, right? To face it, because I think when you have the perspective like, I'm tempted to have fear in this scenario, let me find a way to show love to the world, to make the world a better place in this scenario, right? So if you are normally fearful of, say, a particular high pressure situation that you encounter at your job, just change your perspective on it, reframe it like, this is an opportunity for me to prove something about myself. So that's a powerful perspective that you have to have, and really just ask yourself, how can I show love in this scenario when fear is perhaps present, right? And my hypothesis that I have is over time, the mindset that you have will lead to the fear going away. The power the fear has over you will be reduced drastically if you make up your mind to love in particular situations and face that fear head on.
Overcome fear.